Hi, I'm Everett Manchel with Landmark Implement. Today I'm going to be covering the N500C no-till air seeder. We'll walk you around the drill from connecting it to lubricating and maintaining, what to watch for, and then the setup of the monitor. So hopefully we can cover everything to help you get started at the beginning of this seeding season. We'll start here at the back of the tractor with our hydraulics and our electrical connection. This particular drill has a tractor power generator on it. Depending on your drill, you can either have the power generator on the PTO of the tractor, or it might be back on the implement itself. So a couple differences you might see there, but to start off, we're going to put in SCV number 1, we're going to have our raise and lower for our rock shafts. Number 2 SCV is going to be our fold. Number 3 SCV, we want to put our fan, CCS blower fan, and we will be running number 3 SCV. Your fan will be in continuous, so the fan is running all the time. When you shut your fan off, remember to go to float. So we want to click that SCV forward to engage it, and then go on forward into float so that that motor winds down and doesn't damage the seals. In Power Beyond, this one is actually kicked out just due to a coupler. But this is our active downforce, which is going to be running off of Power Beyond. And then we have our flat face coupler, which is our case drain, and then our load sense line coming over here. Up top we have our ISO connector, and then our trailer lights or turn signals, flashers, and then down on the power generator we have the main harness connecting to it, as well as the temperature sensor. So that is the connection. There is a option of putting cameras on this, so if you do want cameras back on the back side, there is an additional harness that you would order, so see your parts dealer or CTS to order that. Okay, now I'm going to walk you around this new 500C drill, and we're going to cover some maintenance issues. Not really maintenance issues, just maintenance items, as well as things to keep an eye on, greasing, lubrication intervals. So first we've got our tractor power generator here. At the beginning of the season, we want to separate that from our generator on there, and we want to grease that. We want to use a moly grease, and then the spec for that, when you put it back together, is 52 foot-pounds to reassemble those together. Before you put it on the back side, there's an oil fill plug. We just want to make sure that's full of oil. It does take high guard. 17 fluid ounces is the capacity on that. So just make sure that our generator stays in good working order. And then we've got our bracket that just sets here on the hitch, mounts on the PTO, and just keeps it from sliding off. But if we do the proper maintenance on this, this will make that last a long time. One thing I did find in the book, if you are running a tractor power generator, you need a minimum of 1100 RPMs. So if you're setting your transmission and engine speed, make sure to keep 1100 minimum RPMs. If you've got the implement power generator, that's a minimum of 1500 RPMs. So I did find that in the book, something new. So Now we'll cover grease points. Jack is one they mention. Grease that so it stays in good working order. So we've got our wheel pivot bearings here. Those are a 50-hour grease zerk. And then wheel bearings inside here. Those are a 150-hour service on that. We've got torque spec. Make sure your wheels are good and inflated. Wheel bolts are torqued, 130 foot-pounds. Got a sticker on the rim. We'll come around here to the outside row unit. This does have the Pro Series opener on it. In the past, we've had a 90 series opener, and now we've got a Pro Series. So every 50 hours, give it some grease, and then at the end of the season, the only grease zerk on this is with the Pro Series. They've went from 3 on the 90 series opener to just a single grease zerk on the Pro Series. So right here is our only grease zerk. We'll be looking at our row unit here, our Pro Series opener. Before the season, do a walk around on your drill. Make sure that you don't have side-to-side play, that our bushings, everything's not worn here. We want this tight. Gauge wheels, we want those in good condition. Want to keep that gap between our gauge wheel and our opening blade, roughly about a 3 millimeter clearance there. We can remove shims and move them out to slide this gauge wheel in. Our opener blade here is 18 inches, brand new. If it gets to 16 inches, replace it. We want a good bevel on this blade still. So our closing wheel, we want it, nice and tight, as well as our press wheel and free of travel. One thing that probably gets missed quite a few times is down here on our seed boot. So just raise up on that press wheel and grab your seed tube and just pull over, and that should spring back to your opening blade. And why it does that is right down in here is a leaf spring right underneath this bolt. It sets in there like that, and it sets right there. If this doesn't hold over firm against that blade, then we've probably got a broke or missing leaf spring. Also check that bolt, it gets wear on it. On our seed firming tab down here on the bottom, we want to make sure all of these plastic firmer tabs are not worn too much and are placing that seed in the bottom of the trench. We want to look at our boot itself. We want to make sure that we don't have any more than a 1/2 inch of wear off the bottom of this boot, or 11 5/16 from top to bottom of this boot. If we're less than that, we need to replace this boot. Another thing to make note of is some guys will change this opening blade and they won't change their seed boot. So if you've got a worn seed boot with a new opener blade, you might need to pull this bolt, and there's another hole, it's hard to see, but you can slide that boot down. So just make note that that is an adjustment on this. There's a up close of your seed firmer that pushes that seed in the ground with the new Pro Series unit. Our Pro Series unit, we've got the slotted gauge wheel, allows that debris to clean out of that gauge wheel and not cause us issue plugging up. If we get into some damp conditions, maybe some mud balling up, it'll let that clean out in certain instances. So got a new press wheel as well as a new serrated closing wheel for breaking up that trench and closing it better in firmer, heavier soils. So we've got 3 settings on the press wheel: light, medium, and heavy, as well as on the closing wheel: light, medium, and heavy. And then on our depth of our gauge wheel, we go each slot is 1/4 of an inch. So you go from 1/2 inch to 3.5 inches by moving, each 1/4 of a turn. So 1/2 inch deep on up to 3.5 inches, depending on your soil conditions. I've got some parts laid out here on the table. This bottom row being from our old 90 series opener, which what we're used to on the 1990s, to our new Pro Series opener system that comes on these N500Cs. As you can see, still have a cast closing wheel, but the new Pro Series is a serrated one, so helps break up that soil and close that trench better. Press wheel, narrower and taller, helps get that seed down into the bottom of the trench, as well as our seed boot, 90 series in my right hand versus Pro Series in my left. We can see we've got a narrower seed boot, so helps with emergence and getting that seed in the trench. Seed firmer, Pro Series versus 90, narrower tapered seed firmer with a new and improved spring for easier adjustments. So some new advantages to the Pro Series row unit. Okay, now I'll walk around the back side of the new 500C. If you're familiar with our previous air seeders, you can see the great improvement of accessibility. I'm 6'2" and I can walk right under this thing. I can get down here to my meters. I can drop the chute down to get to my meters. Open my door there. We've got our slide gates, our meter rolls, feed cups, so really easy to access. If we want to change our meter rolls, we've got the 32 millimeter wide white ones in there, but you just pull down on these tabs on the side and then just lifts, just slides out, that easy. Here's our meter. So if you look up under here, we've got our narrow 16 millimeter blacks. These are the spare holders. They just tie right in there on each side. We do as well have a 32 millimeter black that I have over on the table. But for soybeans, we're going to be running this 32 millimeter white roller. Wheat, oats, soybeans, your black 32 millimeter rollers, you'd run in a medium rate of sorghum if you do that. And then if you do a low rate sorghum, you would run these narrow 16 millimeter. The meter gates, just like what we're used to before, slide it all the way down, and then you've got different notches, so you go from closed, third open, 2/3 open, to full open. Some of you ask, there's a tool that comes in here, has a round handle on it. Everybody asks me what that's for. It's a slide hammer. It just hooks on that and pulls your slides up and down. I'll go ahead and slide our meters back in. So just kind of line our meters up. I get above our feed cups. Make sure those grooves line up. And then you'll, over here on the right, you'll want to watch, make sure your electric motor is gonna snap in correctly. Slides in, our latches latch, we've got our new meter in. And over here on the side, we've got our electric drive motor for that meter roll. To calibrate our air seeder, we've got our catch bags. So we'll go in there on the monitor here in a little bit and show you how to calibrate as well. If I was to calibrate meter segment 2 here, just fold my door down, hook my bag in those slots, cinch that up. Now we're ready to catch our seed. We can do a manual calibration on each one of these meters to get started. Over here we've got our meter switch. So if I just hit that, if I had the tractor running with the power generator, my meter would be turning. We want to go ahead and hold this switch and catch each meter segment to make sure they're full of seed. Let them rotate at least twice. We want those meter rolls full of seed to get an accurate calibration. You do have 2 catch bags that come with it, so we can calibrate 2 meters at a time. We've got our digital scales here. We'll just hang this here on the drill, hang that on our scales, and go ahead and zero those out for the weight of that bag. Come up here, I'll just pretend I'm going to do meters 2 and 3. So just lift up on this handle and shove that air balloon down. Take your catch bag, slide underneath, hook in there. Grab your drawstring here on the side, cinch that up, and then you're ready to calibrate. Once you've caught your product, come back under here, lift up on your seed bags, lift up on your seed bag, bring it over and weigh your product. Once you get your weight of your product, we'll go up into the cab and we'll enter that weight. A couple things as we're here at the back of the air seeder that I'd like to point out. We do have camera connections so that you can add cameras for safety transporting down the road. We do have scales underneath this air seeder, so we've got our weigh bars here at the back and then in the front as well. We've got our wireless data server underneath here, as well as our main controller for the air seeder. You notice our platform is a lot taller. Back here by our meter switch, we do have our fill light. So when we're back here working, we can switch on our lights, as well as we've got a valve that switches our oil flow from CCS blower to these SCV outlets right here, these connectors. If you were to mount a drill fill auger on the platform for loading the CCS tank, you could plug in here and then simply control the hydraulic flow with this valve. Then when you're done, you just pull back out on it and your CCS blower will start blowing. So We do also have a radar mounted underneath here, and this is just for speed source on the drill for the electric system. As before, got our hopper here. We've got a screen, so if you maybe have clumps of treated soybeans or something, it'll catch them. When the drill's new, take talc, make sure you cover the inside of this tank real good. And then as well as when you're adding beans, if they've got a lot of treatment on them, add talc as it's going in to the tank. At the bottom, we've got our agitation shaft with the roll pins on it, keeping product from bridging. And then we've got our 2 bin level sensors in the bottom, which are adjustable to the operator preference as well. Hanging down here, we also have another camera connection. We've got fill lights, making it easy to see after hours drilling when you're filling at night. We've got great visibility with the lighting package. We do have a little scoop here for mixing seed and talc, whatever you may need it for. Nice little holder there on the back of our drill. One thing I'll note, we don't have to worry about on this drill as we did our earlier models is moisture. We don't have to worry about moisture running down and getting on our meters below like we did on the 1990s. Okay, on the front of our tank, moving around, we've got our weigh bars on the front. We do have our CCS air blower on the other side as our screen. Once again, we want to keep that screen clean, keep the debris off of it. So as you're walking around the machine, keep that clean as well. We do have a fuse box here. So if you do have some issues, may have a blown fuse there. So just know where that's at. Next, we'll go over our blockage sensors. We've right here on the wing, we've got our blockage sensors numbered 1, 2, 3. So when you're on the monitor and it tells you that row 1 is blocked, row 1 is your farthest outside on the left, which is our rear rank. So odd rows are on the rear rank, even on the front rank. If you're gonna seed using only one rank, we've got our seed tube coming out to our Y manifold. We've got clips on these Y manifold that we just pull out and they're slotted. So right there it lets seed come through to this back rank. If we wanted to shut the back rank off, you just flip it over, slide that in there, and then tell it on the monitor as well. There's also one on the front, so if we wanted to shut the front rank off, it's shut off or open it up. 1990, we didn't have that option. We had to only use the rear rank being ground drive. This being electric drive, we can choose whether we want to drill with our rear rank or our front rank, and that helps us keep the wear even on our opener blades and gauge wheels. When using either a front rank locked up or a rear rank locked up, here is our lockup. So if we want to lock up the front rank, it's this one. If we want to lock up the rear rank, it's this one. Just simply turning the valve. Also a good idea when transporting, lock these up so that our ranks cannot lower down to the roadway. One thing as we're going around the drill, on your rock shaft is your height sensor mounted on that front rock shaft. And then when using the rear rock shaft, your height sensor for the rear rock shaft is back on the right side of the CCS tank, right in front of it. If you have any questions about the N500C drill that I've covered today, please contact your local Landmark dealership and someone will answer them for you.